right, welcome to the Overheard podcast recorded live in Banff. My name is Daniel Rudel, with me always.
We got Matty Rage in the house. Let's go.
Let's go. If it's your first time joining us, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe, especially on the YouTube. The more we can grow that, the more we can bring you guests, the more we can grow this page and this channel. Doesn't take you much time, helps us tremendously. So if you can take the time to do that, we'd really appreciate it. This week, we're more than thrilled to be re-welcoming Bunny Julius.
Let's go.
One of Banff's most passionate voices. He's a business owner, a dedicated advocate to community development with deep roots in the Bow Valley and a fearless commitment to protect what makes it special. Welcome back, Bunny. Last time we were chatting about the plebiscite, I think it was.
Yeah, that turned out to be a interesting conversation throughout the town, that's for sure.
It was. We're not going to bend your ear too much on that topic because we've already been through it. It's already kind of come and gone, but it is one of our biggest episodes to date. So we want to thank you for
not
that
a problem.
episode.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. I thought it was informative for everybody, and at the end of the day, everyone got their say.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that kind of kicked us down this rabbit hole of being a little bit more involved in community topics, especially on the political side of things or on the town council side of things. So let's just jump right into it here. Bunny, when you think about Banff at its best, what does that look like to you?
That's probably the toughest question we're going to have today.
Nice.
It is. It's, we live in a spectacular place. And no one is going to argue that, and no one is going to deny that, and that's what makes it special for everyone to live here. But with that, it comes with a lot of challenging kind of quirks that we have to figure out. One of the biggest things is the massive expansion of Calgary at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
You're an hour away with the new ring road. Pretty much everyone's an hour and 10 minutes away. It's extremely easy for somebody just to hop out here and come for an afternoon, and we're seeing that with day travelers for sure.
Right. Absolutely, the influx of day travelers is insane. Just you can see on if you ever take the highway going opposite, say if you're heading into Calgary on a Saturday or Saturday morning or back on a Saturday night, you see the influx of traffic, which has gone pretty crazy.
It's just wild, man. Even today I went downtown and it's Tuesday afternoon, and downtown's just packed. Absolutely packed today, but
it's a nice day, and weather does permit and stuff like that. But Calgary's still projecting they're going to be over 3 million within I think 10 years or something like that. Which is
we're gonna have Toronto basically at our doorstep, right?
Pretty much. And these are things that we have to all understand that's going to happen, and it's going to be extremely hard for us to prevent any of this stuff from happening.
Well, absolutely. Isn't Travel Alberta also having a push for more tourism marketing for the province of Alberta as well?
Travel Alberta, Parks Canada,
Banff Lake Louise Tourism.
Banff Lake Louise Tourism, they all have been trying to get increase in tourism into an area that really, in my mind, doesn't need a massive increase in tourism. I like to say our down season now is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, November, December, January.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
We're still busy every weekend.
Yeah, it was busy October, November.
Mm-hmm.
People are still coming out. It's not like they're not coming out in the wintertime or stuff like that. So that's my feelings and a lot of other people's feelings as well.
Crazy.
So as a business owner, where do you draw the line, if any, when it comes to expansion, right? Like, I think that's why I like having your opinion and your voice on, because business is usually on the side of go, pedal to the metal, especially we can see with the recent national political picture. Business is a huge thing, and people are hell-bent on expanding, I think.
Which is fine in a lot of areas, but we have a National Parks Act that has drawn the line on population, on commercial growth, on all that stuff, and it was put in place to protect our town. And I think that's one of our biggest downfalls with our council and our administration at this point in time is instead of trying to follow the rules that have been put in place to protect our town with the National Parks Act, we're trying to find ways to circumvent them.
Well, 100%. Actually, I was kind of saving this post for next week, but I have an article from the Rocky Mountain Outlook that states, this is the title of the article. It says the town of Banff looks to open up national park legislation to pave the way for more housing and an intercept parking lot. I think that is a slippery slope. I think
Extremely slippery.
something that I don't think should be taken lightly, and it seems to be kind of
When you get into our commercial square footage, and this will come down into part of the issue with the Banff Avenue issue last year as well. When you start exceeding that commercial square footage and the amount of people that we have in this town, it really starts putting pressure on the infrastructure, the housing, everything that we have, and they were put into place for that reason, to protect that.
absolutely.
And when we start going away from that sort of stuff, that's when we are going to start imploding our town in various ways. So we're at our commercial cap now. I don't see it going anywhere other than that. I think we touched base a little bit on it's planning. You know, you take a retail store that has 8 employees and put a restaurant in it, and you've taken it to 30 employees now.
Absolutely.
So you take a look at almost
point.
every single thing that has gone from retail has gone to food and beverage, which is expanding our population, expanding people, putting pressure on our housing, our infrastructure, all that sort of stuff. So
Makes sense. I actually never thought about that. Like, it's true though. I mean, there how many retail spaces downtown got turned into restaurants? And that's-
everywhere you turn around.
yeah.
Honestly, it's a very good point to make. I've been taking meetings recently with people all over town, whether it be council, whether it be conservation environmentalists, whether it be developers, pretty much anyone who wants to talk about the town of Banff.
Yeah.
We're taking meetings, we're talking about it. And one interesting topic that was brought up is we keep trying to solve the supply, right? Like in any business, it's supply and demand,
Right.
right? We keep trying to deal with the supply, but there has been no effort to deal with the demand. How do we curb the demand of housing? How do we, like you said, we're taking retail businesses that have up to 8 employees, you put a restaurant there, that triples, quadruples in size.
Makes sense.
Now, as far as expansion goes in the town footprint, I have talked to members of council, and they assure me that especially the new ARP that's in the works is all above board as far as square footage that they've taken in other places. Basically, they can take chunks from here, take chunks from there, and amass them in other areas in order to develop these projects. Myself personally, I kind of see it as an expansionist agenda. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, guys?
I don't know, man. Like, it's just the tourists just keep getting, like, our numbers are just getting higher and higher as far as visitation every year, right?
So
So there's a demand, and we have to have, like you said, we have to have the supply. Like, we need to have amenities for these people. It's like, at what point, like, we don't have housing to have more amenities, to have more guests, is like, at the end of the day, kind of where it's like stacking up. It's like, you can have 10 million people here next year, but we can't service 10 million people if we don't have more
Staff.
Well, that's
staff
it.
or
Is
restaurants. And then if we have staff, restaurants, hotels, just basic amenities for these people to be here, then that's more employees and that's more housing that we already don't have. And it's just like, it's kind of just a cycle. As far as I'm concerned, it's just something's got to give, and I don't know what it is, but it's just,
I think we've got enough restaurants.
yeah, I think we're good.
Personally.
Yeah.
Well,
And then you've got, like, I talk to a lot of people that own restaurants and are working in restaurants, and, hotels had a banner year last year. Not a lot of restaurants had banner years last year. They had okay years, but not. There's, when you come out and you're paying $700 to $1,500 a night, you don't have a lot of income to start throwing around for dinner at that time of night.
absolutely.
And that's where you see the day trippers coming in to the town and then leaving because they're not going to pay the hotel rates.
Or they're not using the amenities that are there. They're just coming in to, like, they're bringing their own lunch in from the city.
Absolutely.
Or vice versa. But all this is kind of got me raising questions to myself on, are we creating our own problem just to come in and then fix it with expansion? Is that the play?
I don't think we're expanding. Like, this is another issue that I have a little bit, and it's kind of going off topic, but the footprint of our town is the footprint of our town. We can't get any bigger. We can't go any higher. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, not if they change the zoning. If they've changed
True.
the federal zoning, then
That's
then
a little
that's
bit
all out the window,
That's
right?
all out the window. And where do you draw the line on commercial? If you're going to build housing, if it's somebody who's building a 40-unit housing plex and renting it, is that commercial or is that residential at that point in time?
Right.
Well, who has access to that housing should be the final question. You can build
Well,
all the
yeah,
housing
exactly,
you want,
like-
but if locals don't have access to it, what's the point?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Like some of these new units that they're building is just like insanely priced,
Well, if they're all Staffacom, is what I'm
and
saying.
they're all Staffcom as well, or like
that
they'll-
doesn't
Well,
help
there's a lot
anyone.
of that going on. There is going to be, and no fault to anybody for building Staffacom.
No, not at all.
You know, you do take inventory out for other people, but I'm not complaining about anybody building Staffacom.
Of course.
But there are lots of units coming on hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some are quite atrocious that, you know, we look at just over here beside where we're doing this filming. This vacant lot had a
Right.
duplex and a revenue suite in each one, and it's going to 27 units
Yep.
with, I believe, about 5 parking stalls.
Jeez.
So,
Crazy.
you know, and then there's multiples of those coming on. So, you know, we're looking at 100, 150 units coming online in the next couple of years that aren't staff housing. Those
Absolutely.
are going to be open, either
Which is great.
sold or open to the public or whatever, it's fantastic. But touching base on where we are as a town, our size is our size. Now, our town council has, over the years, in the last 10 years, we've almost tripled our staff at town council. At the town of Banff. I understand that in Cochrane, I understand it in Canmore, in various areas, but we're not growing.
That's it, right?
So why is our staff growing at exponential
Well, I think the argument
forces here?
is to deal with the influx or the rapid rise in visitation, which necessitates more, you know.
It's some, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
This is happening in the province of Alberta. It's happening in the country of Canada. You just, you know, you hire more people, and then all of a sudden you're wondering why your taxes are going up double digits every single year because you have wages to pay.
I mean, that's a very, very fair point. Absolutely. So, what does responsible development look like? Sorry, in a place that's already bursting at the seams. Like, how do we mitigate it?
Responsible is sticking with inside the Parks Act and not trying to exceed what Parks has deemed as a responsible. The Parks Act was put in, and the caps were put in to be responsible.
Absolutely.
And if we're going to keep trying to find a loophole to get around that as opposed to just live within it, then, you know, let's face it, if we didn't build 7 more hotels and 23 more restaurants, we wouldn't need 400 more
It's a good point.
houses for people to live in.
Right.
It's true.
Right.
It's true.
So this is the route we've gone. So this is what we have to deal with at this point in time.
Do you feel the average Banffite is adequately represented in the town's decision making, or how they go about these processes?
No, I don't.
Fair enough. Right.
You know,
Good
if
answer.
you want a clear answer, no. And it stems back to, and like I said, I don't want to dwell on last summer. And last summer was said and done.
Right.
But they could have had that plebiscite done on their own without making the people go out and do it.
100%.
It was an extremely divisive form of getting the point across when they could have just done it themselves.
Absolutely. And I think the delaying and the drawing out of the process,
it could have been
ended
done
up
faster.
hurting
It
them,
could
I
have been
think.
everything at that point in time. So, and that's not the only thing. My complaint and a lot of other complaints with the town councils, this town council and the town councils in the past, is we seem to find excessive amounts of money for our want list, but we don't seem to have any money for our need list. You know, we postponed the Caribou development last year because we needed that money to build a bus lane on Mountain Avenue.
Which has done,
Don't know.
depends. Who
Don't
you
live over
ask.
there, so I have no idea. I can't really comment on it. But this year we're doing it. Deer Street's water main and sewer is blown up 3 times in the last 3 years. To me,
Right.
it would be more logic to take that money and take care of the infrastructure on Deer Street. But Deer Street isn't the beautiful downtown that needs to be attracting more people.
Mm-hmm. So that money would go to basically just helping residents and not helping.
We don't have a sidewalk on Otter Street. We have a failing infrastructure in this town, and we're not taking care of it. So, the defense for administration is that the infrastructure is old and needs repairing on Caribou Street.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's not blowing up like Deer Street is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
So,
point.
But it services businesses that service the people of the park.
again, we
right?
need to make it beautiful to attract more people, to
Mm-hmm.
allow more businesses to make money outside of their footprint.
Well, that's kind of the way I'm seeing it. It's like the more we try to attract people to a town that's already bursting at the seams, like we said earlier, that becomes the only option is expansion or more density in a space that we already have. Now, I live in one of these units that was once like a two-story or a duplex, so two-story homes, which I think was 4 apartments with a front yard, backyard, laneway, all that stuff. And now I think it's like 30-something units. Is it ideal? No. Is it needed? I think yes. So, I mean, does everyone in our building own a vehicle? Definitely not, right? Like we have underground parking, which if parking is such an issue, how can hotels, residential people have underground parking? Why can't we do underground parking for the town instead of having 450 stalls paved on green space? What's the problem with going underground? Like it's been done before.
Well, that was that 2-page ad that came out last summer.
They were going to do it
regarding
under the Mount Royal, wasn't it?
under Mount Royal, the green space Rosencrown, the new info center, that parking lot under the fire hall, that whole area, which was a very interesting concept.
I mean, it would be less detrimental building down than building up or building out, right?
Yeah.
Paving green space in order to park vehicles shouldn't really be high on a national parks priority list, in my opinion.
Shouldn't be, but when you're the number 1 tourist destination in Canada, and that's where people are coming, and you're an hour down the road from 3 million people, you do have to accommodate vehicles at some point in time.
For sure.
And I know it's the mandate of the town to try and reduce vehicles, but I just don't see it happening.
Absolutely.
At this point in time.
How do you get an Albertan to keep their vehicle at home? Like, I don't know. It's usually Banff's not their only stop. It's going to be Canmore, Banff, Lake Louise often. The benefits of having your own vehicle much outweigh the price tag of parking it, in my opinion. Like if you have kids, if you have elderly people with limited mobility, they're having that fight in Canmore right now. They want to do the permanent pedestrian zone in Canmore.
Oh, yeah, right.
And people, like I said, limited mobility are up in arms. Like you can't access any of those businesses anymore without parking a significant amount away.
It seems to me the way we're going now is to make it as inconvenient as possible to people when they get here with a vehicle, that they either, 1, don't want to return, or 2, rethink where they park and how they do things.
I think we're seeing that already, honestly, as far as a user standpoint, people that are coming into the national parks this summer. Like I'm serving people at work that are like, what is going on here? This is not the idea we were sold. This is not the vacation we were sold.
Well, I think people because it's marketed as like this pristine like wilderness. It is, but like when you get here and your hotel's downtown and all the restaurants are downtown and there's 40,000 other people downtown, it's like it's like a fucking zoo. Like I would understand, when I came here first, I moved here in the winter, so that was also 11 years ago. So that was a different story, but
time.
It was a ghost town. There was no one here. It was awesome. And then the spring was sweet. Like the summers were busy, but yeah, man, even now, it's just the difference from then to now is just wild. It's a goddamn zoo.
And to flip that coin, who could blame them, right?
Right.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
We have been successful at marketing worldwide, obviously.
Right.
There's always someone that wants to come to Banff. If there's downturn in one area, like we saw, say, in our own economy in Alberta, when that started going down and the guys from Fort Mac weren't coming to Banff anymore, well, there was the next person was ready to take their spot.
But imagine booking your vacation based on a picture of Lake Moraine with no one in sight, or Lake Louise with not a tourist in sight. And then you get there and there's
You can't even get there.
There's 10,000 people there, and you're like,
You can't even get on the bus to get there.
Yeah, I can't even get there I can't even get on the bus.
I might have told this story before, but I took some family there to Lake Louise just to see the lake. But we knew it was summertime. You either go early in the morning, go late at night. So we went late at night, probably like 6 or 7 o'clock. Well, the parking lot, quote unquote, closes at 8. So you're supposed to get your vehicles out of there. It was probably like, 7:15. So we paid the $36, I think it was.
Yeah.
And there was people at the pay station going, no, don't pay it. It's crazy. It's $36. Like, can you believe how insane it is? I'm like, there's 50 people around the pay booth saying, don't pay it. I'm like, it's this expensive because we're all here. You know what I mean? Like, this used to be free.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Anyways, municipal elections coming up in the fall. What changes do you feel need to be made in this upcoming season?
Well, there's going to be a movement coming out. It's already started, and if I'm not mistaken, it is called the Banff Council Refreshing.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that would love to see an entire overhaul of the entire council.
So this is a grassroots movement by citizens, or what is this, a lobby group?
A lot of
or-
citizens
Okay.
are discussing it with a lot of citizens. They're just feeling that, again, we have, a lot of people that have been around in our town council for a long time, and it's almost like they train the new ones that we just have carte blanche to spend money on whatever we want. We'll just raise taxes. Don't worry about it. We've been using our reserve fund for stuff and not building our reserve fund. It's time to we have a beautiful town.
Yeah.
Why do we need to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars every single year to try and make it more beautiful and to try and attract more people? We're at a frenzy right now of a capacity of people in this town. Yet
point.
we have a tourism bureau that has a $17 million budget last year.
Absolutely.
What? That's wild.
17 million. We are trying to do everything we can to make it more beautiful and make it more appealing to people when we really don't have to make it appealing to people. It's already appealing. I would much rather see a town council that is going to be a little more fiscally responsible, cut some staffing, cut some spending, and get back to a normal way of thinking when it comes to how we're going to deal with the infrastructure, deal with the stuff that we need to build up a bit of a reserve fund that we can use down the road when we need to. It just seems that, we have a council that's been on council for 30 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It's good for her, but it shouldn't be happening here. If you can't get what you need to get done in 2 terms, it's time to get out and let somebody else step in and try. This isn't built to be a career.
Well, and Banff changes so fast too, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like 30 years ago. This was not even the same town at all.
Absolutely. Well, a big call for action for me was getting the numbers of the voters from the plebiscite vote to the previous town council election, and it dwarfed them. Like, it was crazy. So more people were getting out to get politically active about the pedestrian zone than about the town council itself, which in turn makes these decisions, right? So this is our call to action for everyone in the town of Banff. The election's coming. Anyone can run. If you want change.
And just because they were on the ballot before doesn't mean they need to get in this time.
Mm-hmm.
Do a little bit of research, see how long they've been on committees for and how long they've been on. And like I say, I probably won't be voting for anybody on that council this year.
Fair.
What qualities should people be looking out for as far as the candidates for council?
My
would you
biggest
say?
thing is somebody who is going to be a little more fiscally responsible
Okay.
with the town money. It just seems like every time we turn around, we find $240,000 to build wooden patios on Caribou Street from
Again, to expand business.
sorry, 420,000, not 220,000. When you take into consideration, for some reason, this council and administration doesn't acknowledge that visitor paid parking is still an income to the taxpayers and to the people of Banff.
I've broached this topic with someone before. I can't remember who. My apologies to that person. But it was about a reservation parking system in the town of Banff. So you would say, pay for your stall before you got here. But the problem with that is like once the stalls are full, you can't not allow people to come through because they're on Highway 1. And that would have to be done from a federal level. The town cannot impede anyone's movements.
There's been discussions about this, and we're not the only ones in this program, in this problem. You take a look at Spain, Portugal, like all over the world, there is, I'm glad we're not at the point where we are telling people not to come here and negative tourism and that sort of thing. We still love to have all the people. I hope we don't see any negative tourism towards U.S. visitors coming this summer.
I don't think so, honestly.
I don't think so either. But
especially in Alberta, given the current situation.
But these are all things that, you go into Yellowstone, if you're not there by 10 a.m., you're not getting in.
Right, right.
It is a very challenging point because we're looking at the town of Banff and the National Park of Banff. And to have people come in and pay at the gate and get in and then not be able to get into the town because we're full would be pretty detrimental. But I don't see us that. So again, I see it coming at some point in time down the road.
Well, we do have a chat here, and someone in chat asked, "Why don't you go on the ballot for council?" And which actually leads in to our next point, which is being a council member. It's because sometimes not the most appealing thing. You're kind of held under the microscope. Like all your decisions are just criticized by everybody, and it's just kind of like, would you ever consider that, or do the negatives kind of outweigh the positives?
There's other underlying factors for me. I do have an extremely large restaurant that I need to pay attention to and run. And that's my number one focus as well. And I have a reading disability, and it is a lot of reading. From what I heard, it's about 30 to 40 hours of reading a week.
Well, of course. And it's not a high paying job for just a counselor.
It's better now.
Yeah.
It's actually reasonable now. It was extremely underpaid before.
And even where it is now, though, in my opinion, as far as the work that is involved,
it's a full-time job.
Absolutely.
For me to read and absorb it is pretty difficult for me to do that. So I don't foresee myself doing that. I would definitely think about it, but I just don't foresee it.
Fair.
We've talked about other forms of possibly getting involved in it and stuff like that. And at our point in life, I'm talking about my wife and myself. At our point in life, it's just
it's a huge workload.
It's just not in it's just not in our program right now.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And I admire everyone who does it.
No doubt.
And I don't hold any ill feelings towards people for their decisions. You have to decide at some point in time.
Right.
But I would definitely like to see somebody who is running that has, the means and the knowledge to be able to work with other counselors. We have two counselors that have, in my mind, have just been tossed aside and not even acknowledged.
Undervalued.
One of them's a commercial engineer. He knows all the works and ins and outs and everything on how these streets. Nobody asked him his opinion on what this is. But, you get voted in with 6-7 other people. You have to acknowledge and work together. You can't just...
Well, I think the idea of
6-2 is the vote every single time.
The ideas that we broached in our last week's episode and the idea of merit is like, if you made these positions, maybe where they made a little, I think money is an issue that's thrown around in the town of Banff all the time. We don't have money for this. We don't have money for that. You even said earlier, we have all the money for our want list, like say the Fenlands renovation project, which is absolutely insane. But then we don't have money for stuff that really matters, like Deer Street or water mains that are blowing up quite literally in the winter.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So
there's nothing wrong with the Finlands.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I don't like the way it's being run right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the town should be in the restaurant business.
Well, it's an entity that's losing money, and they want to talk about a full renovation like that's going to be the solution to losing money.
It's the way it's being run is why it's losing money. It's not being promoted properly. It's not being run. We have a hockey tournament booked in 2 weeks ago, and they take the ice out before the hockey tournament, and they have to go to Canmore for half of their ice time because they've got to get that grass in.
Mm.
There's just little things like that I just don't agree with. And you're absolutely right. We seem to find money all the time for the wants, but we never have money for the needs. And maybe the needs is to make the town councilors a little bit more
paid. So then you get people with, maybe some school, like I'm not saying they don't have schooling, but, people that are more apt to have that be their main income dive into those roles, right? Like say, from my perspective, if I wanted to go run for town council, I'm going to do that on top of working my full-time job, on top of running this show, on top of showing up to these meetings, being at these events. And then you also have to be part of a board as well if you're going to be on the town council. So that's another set of meetings, another set of readings that you have to do or whatnot, right? So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. And again, we don't mean to vilify the town council, or I don't at least.
No one does.
We're all here for the same reason. We all want to make Banff what it can be in the most beautiful way. How do we do it responsibly? That's the main question, right? How do we do it?
I personally think we are at a point now where we don't have to be spending so much money on attracting people here.
Right.
We have them. They're coming.
Yeah.
We know that.
People know where we are. We're not going anywhere. People know we're here.
Do we even need to attract that many in the wintertime? I don't know if that's really a necessity at this point in time anymore either.
So again, this is another term that was brought up to me, and I was going to talk about it at a different time because I haven't really researched it that much, but it's a concept that was brought to my attention. It's called Parkinson's law of bureaucracy.
Brilliant.
Now, have you heard of this before?
Yes.
So, right, as say an entity grows, right, in a town that has boundaries, eventually there's nowhere to grow.
No.
So what do you do if your job is to implement or to plan new things or to, come up with these ideas on how to spend the money?
Slow it down, take your time, and then ask for more people to get hired because you're swamped.
Well, exactly it, right? So I think that's a perfect example of where we are and what we're going. Now, let me just pull up what Parkinson's law is, because I feel like it deserves at least a little read.
Yeah, because I have no idea what it is.
Look it up.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So,
yeah.
Parkinson's law. Here we go. So Parkinson's law. So the number of workers within public administration bureaucracy or officialdom tends to grow regardless of the amount of work that needs to be done. This is attributed to two main factors. The officials either want subordinates, not rivals, that officials can make work for each other, or it's just like that is the need. Is like I said earlier, we're driving our own need for expansion. We are victims of our own success. And then, what's the most logical solution? We need more of this. We need more of that. I mean, managing the demand instead of managing the supply hasn't even been broached. You know what I mean? Like,
so we're at a point now where I don't see any more hotels being built. I see some residential buildings being built. I see this and that. And we have how many town planners?
Yeah.
I don't know. How many do we have?
I don't know.
Let's but that's it. Like
a lot. And I
once
don't
you're
see
done
any
planning, what do you plan next, right?
Oh, exactly. So, there's just, and this has happened across the board. We used to have one lady used to look after the rec field, the high school, the elementary, the rec grounds, and the rec center. And then she got an assistant. And then the assistant got an assistant. And then she left and the assistant got an assistant. She got another assistant. And by the time it was all said and done, there's 5 people doing her job.
Well, that's it. Doing the same job with the same amount of space, with the same amount of...
Correct.
Right? So the budget seems to just keep going up and up. I actually think I saw a headline today that the Banff surplus was projected to be something around like 840 million. Turns out it's only like 42 or something like that. Like it's very drastic change in the projected surplus, which makes you think like, where's all that money going? Like money should not be an issue. We are the premier national park of the country. We subsidize all the other ones.
Let's remember, the only way you get money from, as a municipality, is from taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And us, visitor paid parking, housing rental, restaurant rental, all that sort of stuff. But in general, that's the only place you get money from. And if you have an exorbitant amount of extra, then that means you overcharge your taxpayers.
Fair.
There was what I think was a great politician was Jesse Ventura when he came in to Minnesota when he took over as the governor. He gave money back to the people because they were overcharged.
The first year
Wow.
I visited, the first year I ever came to Alberta was the first time that the provincial government gave the residents back money because the oil and gas sector was doing so
was
well.
Ralph Klein.
That had never happened in Canadian history.
That's sweet.
So I'm sure a lot of Albertans would like to get to that point again, especially now. Didn't you want to mention something about the tax rate? We were speaking kind of before we came on about how that has kind of exploded in the past couple of years.
Well, it's just, there again, we've had double-digit increases. I think this year was the first year we didn't have a double-digit increase.
But it was still like
Lo
9%.
and behold, it's an election year.
Yeah.
But we're pushing over the last 4 years, we're pushing 44% increase in taxes. You compound that out, it's a substantial amount of money that we've gone up and up and up for a town again that has a locked boundary. What have we spent this money on? And I'll guarantee you 80% of it is going to be on our want list.
I unfortunately would agree with you there.
Not on our need.
The needs list is getting longer and longer too.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's been a year now since we had Bunny on last, at least, right?
Yep.
Year and a bit.
Just about. I know we probably asked this question last time, but anyone looking to stay here long term, what is just one solid piece of advice you could give them that you wish you had known when maybe you first moved here, or has that changed?
Oh, lots have changed, obviously. Your what you do and the way your lifestyle is and stuff like that changes and stuff like that. But I do feel that, this town has a lot to offer that maybe a lot of people don't quite understand. So I'm very sports oriented. So
For sure.
a lot of stuff that I go into are, we've got the ski hills, we've got the hiking, we've got a great golf program. So
Amazing.
like if you were going to raise a family, if you were going to raise a family here, the opportunities for families and kids in this valley are unbelievable.
Yeah,
The tennis club is a great tennis club, cheap for kids to belong to. The golf club is cheap for kids to belong to. The Women Nancy Powell Foundation give a ski pass out to everyone from grade 12 down in Banff.
Wow.
That's
To Norquay.
amazing.
every single time I hear about
That's
the Nancy
amazing.
Powell
They-
Foundation. something new.
They work with Norquay, and they have been. My kids, my youngest kid's 20, and she had a ski pass almost every single year that she
That's
went to
wild.
school here.
That's so
Amazing.
cool.
So there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of stuff to do in this town. We always tend to dwell on the negativity of the town
100%.
Yeah.
and not sit back and look at the positive parts of being a part of this community. And there's a lot of positives to this community.
Oh, big time.
Unfortunately, it's always the negative stuff that gets the headlines and gets and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So again, I don't never mean to pick on
It's not
council
personal,
or
yeah.
any of that. Like I said, a lot of them are my friends.
Mhm.
I still have people around town that don't talk to me over my decision on Banff Avenue.
Well, divisive politics is a tool that's being used, I believe, by big media to keep us in these positions. If people are fighting themselves, they're not fighting what's above them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the divisiveness of especially the plebiscite and the Banff Ave thing was insane. When you saw a lobbying company that was paid to shift public perception against people that were opposed to them, that was insane. That was my line
Yeah,
of,
especially
whoa,
in a
whoa,
town
whoa.
this small, right? Like it's just not the vibe that we're used to. I think it was just like so out of touch for Banff that it was just like, are these guys seriously fucking doing this? Like,
Well, that's what has me asking myself these questions, It
was a lot of money.
Well, it is a lot of
Did you
money.
see the money we raised
100%. It was
compared to the other side? It was
minimal.
Minimal
Grassroots funded versus big business lobbying, and you guys and we came out on top, I would say.
And like I said, it shouldn't have gone to that.
Well,
Town
that's
council
it, yeah.
should have realized, like I still think, to be honest with you, that Councillor Pettigrew had one of the best motions that was, of course, voted down
Mm-hmm.
when he asked for Banff Avenue to be open last year. Take the data, be open this year, take the data. So we'd have data from the 2 years when it was closed, the data from 2 years when it was be open, and have that on the ballot this year on whether or not we wanted it to, and it was voted down. Which I thought was a great compromise and a great way to go through it, but it was voted down. And I still think when it got to be such a divisive situation in town, I think the town council should have backed away and said, this is above our heads to make this decision. This is going to go to the town
Fair
to
enough.
vote. And I don't think it would have been as messy as it got.
Or as heated, or like as long-lasting implications. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was drawn out, and it was allowed to get to that point by its drawn-out process.
They had the means to do it, and they chose
For
not
sure.
to at that point in time. But whatever, that's over and done with, and
Crazy.
and we move forward. And I would like to see this year. I'd like to see everything identical to last year, so that we can actually see if there was any difference. I don't want the timing on the lights to change all of a sudden. And, all the flaggers gone from here. Like, let's
Have
try
the same
and
support as we had.
see how everything runs.
Because again, that's the thing is, do we intentionally cause a problem as far as over tourism, as far as traffic, and then, how do we mitigate this? You know what I mean? Like, we are the saviors to our own problem. It's something that's happened all over politics, not only municipally, but provincially and federally.
Good point.
North of the border, south of the border. It's a very recurring topic, creating this problem, whether it be in the economy, whether it be in this, and then, I have this great idea. I will use my own self-interest to fix this problem.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that I've been noticing, and something that I will be definitely outspoken on when I see it. It's not
I'd
something
still
that
love to see a fourth lane on the bridge.
There you go. Or a second bridge.
Take a sidewalk out
So
and run straight 4 lanes.
structurally,
It can be done.
it's again, it was as adding to the bridge on the outside impossible. All these things are said to be impossible.
Well, I was told by somebody in the town that it's impossible. And then I asked them if they've driven to Golden in the last 2 years or not. Don't tell me the bridge is impossible. And then I actually heard from a counselor this week that they've been told it's absolutely possible to do.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
to me, I think that would be a really big factor. And I know they don't want to look at it. They want to look at no cars, as opposed to the cars are here. The cars are probably always going to be here, whether or not they're electric, hybrid, LNG, gas,
Whatever.
hydrogen.
Who
They're
cares?
going to be here.
Absolutely.
They're coming from an hour down the road.
100%. And why wouldn't they? Especially today. It's freaking beautiful out there.
Exactly.
Look at that outside.
Exactly.
So, like we
man.
said, we didn't want to be all negative and all harpy, because we're not anti everything. We love this place, just like you guys out there listening. And just like the town councilors do too. We're all here because we give our best version or our best idea of what we think Banff should be.
But there are a lot of residents in this town that live on residential streets that need taking care of. They live with infrastructure that needs taking care of. They're the ones paying the taxes, not the tourists.
Very good point.
The tourists do pay the taxes. They come here. They pay everybody's salary. We are 100% tourist based.
Of course. Big time.
So we don't want to be negative towards the tourism and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the businesses and the restaurants, the businesses and the residents are the ones footing the bill for all of this. I still think the province needs to step up as well and, have some sort of a resort.
Yeah.
Tax or something?
Not a tax, money. The amount of money we have to spend on signage, on sewers,
True.
I can only imagine what our sewer system would be if we had to deal with 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Not 40 on a regular day or a regular basis.
For sure.
It'd be completely different cost base for something like that. So, everything that Alberta wants us to increase tourism. Everybody wants us to increase tourism, but nobody wants to help foot the bill for that.
I would agree.
They want to leave it all on the residents and the business owners.
Good
Crazy.
point.
Good
So
point.
at some point in time this summer, you're going to see Minnewanka Loop closed.
I think it's happened before. I think it's happened once or twice before in the past.
2 summers ago, it happened twice.
that's
They
what I
had to
thought,
close it down.
Now, I have specifically broached this topic with, again, these meetings I've been taking, and the closures, my question was, why did they get to close? Why does Lake Louise get closed when there's too much traffic? But Banff somehow, that cap doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And the rebuttal again was that the town physically cannot restrict people. It's out of their jurisdiction. Fine, absolutely. National parks for all Canadians. Parks Canada would be the one to have to do it. Now, because we have multiple outlets of the town, right? So there's 2 exits. It's about safety vehicles, police, ambulance, fire, being able to navigate the town. So I guess the traffic issue hasn't been seen in Banff as bad enough yet by Parks Canada to necessitate that.
And who knows, we have, the power to be is the superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
And a year ago, the superintendent came out and said that this was a breach of the National Parks Act,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't do it. And we have a mayor and town council that turn around and go F yourself, we're doing it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing happened. So realistically, the town can do whatever they want because the superintendent's not going to do anything about it.
Well, that's what I mean. Parks Canada seems to be kind of inactive in our town quarrels, I should say. They seem to just want to keep their hands out of it, let us kind of duke it out, let the townspeople or the town be the bad guy, and they just kind of deal with the national image. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more cooperation from that side.
It's pretty clear in the Parks Act what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm not against the Parks Act. I'm for the Parks Act.
If you're not going to
enact it,
then why have it?
Mm-hmm.
Is my personal feeling on that. If you're not, if you have it written down and it's quite clear, then why?
I think it's just maybe from a public perspective angle, as things get heated and nasty, I just think Parks as an entity just doesn't want to be involved in that conversation. Just because they are a national entity, right? Like,
it's got nothing to do with them, really. Like, unless we're fucking.
But it does though, because they're the overseers.
Well, yeah,
like,
I know, but like, unless we're stepping on them,
to do with them.
The superintendent is, he can do whatever he wants, and if that's what it says in the Parks Act, that's what we should be following. Because if we don't, we're going to implode this town.
Well, we're going to run into more serious problems than we're already facing, I think,
Yeah.
right? And the major ones obviously are congestion, just taking advantage of what we have here and ruining it. And greed, again, greed is the ultimate factor in all this. Not from yourself. Again, that's why I like your perspective. It's a business owner that I feel is not greedy in the sense that we have enough in the pot already. How do
The
we?
businesses will take care of themselves.
Exactly.
If the sidewalks are full, the sidewalks are full.
Mhm.
If they're busting at the seams, like I used to say all the time at my old location, after 150 people in the bar, you lost money.
Mm-hmm.
You
Because
can't.
they're not having a good service.
Well, you can't get service. You can't get to the bar to get drinks. You can't do any of this stuff because it's too full. So at some point in time, people aren't spending money and people aren't enjoying themselves because it's too full.
Something's going to
What that point is, I don't know, but I think it's going to be becoming a bigger discussion soon.
Absolutely. So when you look down the road, maybe 10 or 20 years, how do you envision this town moving forward if we keep going the way we're going? Disaster?
Well, I don't think we can keep going the way we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a couple different ways to look at it. I've spoken to people that have gone to Moraine Lake, and I'm sorry I'm getting off that topic, but before, and I don't know the exact numbers, but let's say there was 5,000 cars that went into the parking lot. One goes in, one goes out, stuff like that. Now there's no cars, but there's 40,000 people going in on bus.
Mm-hmm.
So have we rectified the problem?
Made it worse?
Took the cars out, but we put in 4 times the amount of people.
Mm-hmm. And again, these people, not a lot of them are leaving that lakefront, right? Like, let's be honest. It's shut off world-class hiking. The Plain of Six Glaciers. I picked up a Banff history book today.
Yeah, that's insane.
That had a picture of some like early settlers up there in 1906. So this is hiking that has been done in this national park for over 100 years that is now inaccessible to people that want to enjoy it for what it's truly meant for. And that $20 bus ticket gets you to the lakefront where you can go take your picture,
Over-tourism was not on the ballot or even discussed in the last 4 years ago in the last election.
Yeah.
it's going to be there. Fire Smart the fire danger wasn't there 4 years ago. Over tourism wasn't there 4 years ago. This is going to be a different election because there are going to be so many. I'm not stepping in or anything, but I've heard there's a lot of people that want explanations of what the validity of the tourism bureau is.
100%.
Do we need a 40-person staff, $17 million budget tourism bureau at this point in time? I'm not stepping into that realm at this point right now, but there are people talking about it, and it's going to be a discussion.
While we're on this topic, this is an open invitation to anyone out there. If you're with the tourism board, if you're with the town council, if you're thinking about running and you feel we've had it wrong today, come and tell us how we've had it wrong. You can take the exact seat that Bunny's in. You can come and tell us and our audience what you think, right?
I know,
on that topic, mental health, right? Quite a big topic these days, especially with all the political stuff that's going on provincially, nationally. If you are having any mental health issues, it's the perfect week to have them. It is Banff Health Awareness Week.
Let's go.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit here. If you do have any issues, we're currently in the Mental Health Week. So Banff Mental Health and Addiction Week is an important week for those in our community to connect with others, to remember the importance of physical activity, and to help us reduce the stigma about mental health and addictions, which we can all agree is a problem in the Bow Valley. Everyone has mental health days. It's part of being human. And if those days get a little rougher at times, you can build on your resilience through this week's activities to navigate those times. If you need a little bit more help, you can learn about mental health and addiction resources in our community. This week, there's over 50 free programs going on. Tons of stuff going on around Banff, Lake Louise every single day. Go check them out. You can find their links all over Overheard and Banff. Tons of great events happening with that right now. So we want to give them a big shout out if you're in need, or even, hey, you're lacking a little confidence. You know what I mean? They got confidence builders. They got yoga events.
Yeah, man. Tons of cool
people
stuff
together. So go check them out for sure. Any closing thoughts before we move on to our post of the week, Bunny?
No, like I said,
think
thanks
we
for
covered
having
it.
me, guys. It's always a pleasure to come by and chat about things that are going on and what are and what aren't and stuff like that. So
we're going to go do some posts now, and the Moraine Lake shuttle is one of the posts that we're going to discuss because you're going to laugh at this this screenshot I got. But first, we're going to cut to a word from our sponsors. Big shout out to Drink Shaft. We'll be right back with you in 20 seconds. This episode is brought to you by the Non-Alc Shaft. If you're looking for a clean energy drink that's gluten-free, vegan, naturally caffeinated with real coffee, perfect for the quick pick-me-up middle of the afternoon, or heck, in the morning when you're on the way to the hill, be sure to check out the beautiful black non-alc can sold as singles or as 4-packs down at Townhouse Liquor. I know my fridge is stocked up. All right. Big shout out to Shaft and Hendo. Buy Hendo. Go get yourself some elk cocktails.
Yeah.
They're all available at Townhouse Liquor.
I've been crushing them all week, man.
It's the way to go. So let's get some posts going here.
Oh, God.
First one. This one's a bit of a read, but it's a bit of a... One of our previous guests messaged me about this. So there's this ongoing kind of mystery that's been happening around the 500 block of Banff Ave. So this post reads, do you work in the industrial compound area or between, say, 500, 600 Cougar Street at one of the hotels or restaurants maybe? If so, do these little coffee creamer packs look familiar? There's been an issue in the forest and property between the industrial compound and Rotary Park for well over a year. My kiddos pick them up often. I'm pretty sure the neighboring crows, I would say the ravens in this case, have found a stash of these coffee creamers. So whether they're taking them from a hotel or maybe like
a patio,
you know,
something?
The carts, the housekeeping
like the hotel,
carts,
housekeeping carts, yeah,
and they're stashing them all over now. Someone has messaged me about this before. I've seen posts about this.
Are they like folders, like coffee creamer in them? Oh, okay. I thought they were just like wrappers. Oh, all right.
So they've seen ravens stashing these things and coming back later and eating them. So they're kind of trying to like get down to the bottom of this, of where they're coming from.
God.
well, they can't be from Banff.
Well, they most certainly are. Well, maybe
They're
they're
single
not.
use.
How's
that
They
possible?
can't be from
Exactly. Well, maybe they're in someone's storage. Something.
Yeah.
You know, maybe found their way in through a vent or something. Like, you never
God,
really
that's
know.
funny.
This is that one I was telling you about the Moraine Lake
Oh,
Road.
this is great. Like, yeah, he's like, oh, wasn't expecting this. 29 million people in front of me in line to reserve shuttle passes. This is insane. And this is for Moraine Lake. So apparently he's number 29 million in line.
So, 29 millionth in line for a shuttle reservation. Not the only weirdest part about this is this was posted by an anonymous member on Overheard and Banff.
Oh, really? I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't think so either.
Oh, weird.
So I was in the comments going like, what? How is this anonymous posting even allowed? Because I feel like if you're going to complain about it, especially on Overheard and Banff, which we don't monitor, by the way.
Yeah, we don't have any.
We have nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
You should, if you're complaining, like, use your own profile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stand by what you're complaining about.
Yeah.
Crazy for two reasons, obviously. Reservation line insane. I think they're selling half the reservations beforehand and leaving half for 24 or 48 hours before.
Wow.
So hopes are not lost totally. But yeah, I don't know.
It's like the
Another
whole
example
population. Like most of the population of Canada. It's like, yeah, 3/4 of Canada just tried to book a shuttle to Moraine Lake.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? What's the way forward? This next one's pretty cool. They're a bunch of mates, some Aussie mates. We got some. I'm sure you got some working with you as well. They're looking for legends and future legends to join their growing AFL club. So Aussie football. I guess there's a league that's going on and there's a tournament that's coming on May 24th. Training is every Wednesday at 6 p.m. where they run, kick, and laugh and occasionally remember the rules. So super low stress. They're like, if you've never played, you don't know the rules, come out and have fun. If you're looking for some community, being that it's Banff Mental Health Awareness Week and you want to get active,
Right.
go learn a new sport and hang out with these cool Australians down there.
Get
Make
it.
sure your Medicare is up to
Yeah, for sure.
up to par before you get in there.
This could absolutely rock.
I think there is a comment about that. It says, yeah, no, it's our, there was something, oh yeah, here we go. Our next tournament is on May 24th, right here in Banff. Multiple games, maximum fun, minimal body parts, hopefully lost. So, yeah, definitely make sure you're in shape and ready to
Oh
go.
my God. All right, so we're already on this train. So this looks like it was at Sunshine. Someone had a flag. It says "fuck Carney." Apparently,
This was the day after the election. This was posted. So my little
this
like
is
blurb
awesome.
for this was, this must be a golden age for flag makers. Like,
oh, they must just get the dumbest request.
It's
oh yeah,
crazy.
like first it was Trudeau, now it's Carney.
that's what I
It's
mean.
the same flag, just different names.
The boys are back in town.
Boys are back in
Go
town.
figure.
Right?
Go figure.
Hilarious. Spotted at
God.
Sunshine Village. Yeah, if you're an entrepreneur out there looking to start a business,
Get
I
into
don't
the
know.
flag business,
Get
bro.
into the
She's
flag business.
booming, dude. I'm
It
telling
is
you right now.
popping right now.
Oh, what do we got next here, Dan?
Next is a little bit post about the Legacy Trail.
Oh, right.
Someone was on Overheard and Banff asking, is the Legacy Trail open? And Parks Canada with a nice little reminder that it is open to bring your bear spray because there's been some bears spotted along the Legacy Trail. So
Yeah, they're everywhere. There was a cougar down by did we?
Right here.
Yeah, down here. Or was
down
it?
this way.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
okay.
did we talk about that last week?
Yeah, I think we did.
I think we did.
Yeah, but they're
absolutely. So
I mean,
obviously, as the valleys thaw first, it is where the predatory animals and their prey are going to be hanging out. So
speaking of prey, 100 gorillas.
okay, this one might be a little strange. Bunny, have you heard about this new trend that's going on podcasts and stuff? They're asking, do you think 1 or 100 men versus one gorilla? Who do you think would
Oh,
win?
I have seen it actually.
What do you think? 100 of the most jacked men on earth versus one gorilla. What do you think?
I'm taking the gorilla.
Oh, big time.
The
Any day.
gorilla,
Oh
100%,
yeah, could
right?
just tear your arm off and beat you to death with
It's
it.
no question.
Oh,
the
yeah.
gorilla has a bite force that can bite through your torso.
Yeah.
Oh,
They can rip off your arms and legs. Now, this is my man Beetlejuice. If anyone knows the Howard Stern show back in the
Oh,
day,
yeah.
Beetlejuice, bit of an infamous guest. This is Beetlejuice standing over 100 gorillas that have been beaten up, and it says, "I beat 100 gorillas with one punch." If you've never heard this story of Beetlejuice, go check him out.
Oh, he's
Hilarious
awesome.
stuff. Big shout out to Beetlejuice, one of my close personal friends.
all right. Well, looks like dog park's open.
Which
Back
one?
open.
Back open. The is that the dump one?
That is the one that is
Oh, no, that's
at
out
the
by
the
the
rec
the rec
grounds.
grounds,
So
yeah.
that one's been closed for hell long.
I was gonna say.
Again, they're just trying to keep, I guess, dogs from running in the mud. I guess running while it's wet is detrimental to that beautiful lawn that you see there.
I am glad the town council vetoed that other one.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. We
Yeah.
Not
talked
that
about
I have a input on it. I'm just glad they listened to the people and
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that was actually so
did what the
smooth.
people wanted them to do.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was
I
like
didn't
the
have anything
smoothest process.
against the dog park going in there, and I
Nope.
live in that neighborhood. I just had a problem with paying for a fifth dog park.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
why spend 100, was it 100,000? Was it more?
Something
And
like
then
that.
they had planned housing there anyway, so they're going to have to tear it down or something.
Well, it's
Is
like
that what it
dogs
was?
can still use it without a fence there. Like,
People use it all the time. Like I see
Yeah.
tons of people walking their dogs back there, and it's
Not off
beautiful.
leash,
Yeah.
though.
No, not off leash though. No.
But again,
a
that's
bad
our
idea
point.
back there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, back there that's a bad idea. There's deer and elk and dude, anything back there.
but this is why we do this show, is that we can have these conversations because we feel, or I felt before we started the show, that these conversations are being had without the town's, not knowledge, but no one's paying attention to these things.
Yeah.
And it's just being passed willy nilly. Next one.
Oh, this is good. This is good. So this it looks like a bit of a yard sale here, rummage sale. And you can see this mattress for those of us that are listening only. So there's two pictures of a mattress here with some sort of questionable stain. And the first comment, obviously, how much for the lightly shit bed? $20. Somebody goes 40. He goes, art of the deal.
The art of the deal.
Yeah.
So this is one of our series of probably shouldn't be on buy and sell.
Yeah. We get these often.
Yeah, a trend that we see, especially this time of year when kind of town is shifting and the winter
Transitioning.
crew is moving out and the
Yep.
summer crew is moving in. You'll find these piles of stuff on the side of the road that people are attempting to sell or to give away. Let me tell you, no one wants your shit stained mattress. No one wants your old mixing bowls. We all have our own that
No
sit
one
there
wants
collecting
your
dust.
pretty used bike saddle.
You know-
what was the other one? The jock strap.
The jock strap.
strap. We've had some doozies. We should get together. We should go get some clips. Maybe sometimes a bonus episode. We'll
We
just
can do that.
all of the shouldn't be on buy and sells.
But you know who does want all that trash? Is the Reuse It Center.
Yeah, they love it.
Well, I shouldn't call it trash. If it's not trash and it is reusable,
Right.
bring it to the Reuse It Center.
I'm moving at the end of the month here, so we're gonna have to do that.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if you're new to town looking for some amenities to your house,
Oh,
don't
dude.
go buy a $6 mixing bowl. Go check the Reuse It Center.
Oh yeah.
That's why I wanted to bring that one up.
So what do we got last year, Dan? Uh-oh.
Summer's here, baby.
Brace yourself. So we got looks like a motorhome taking up 3 spaces here, 4 maybe possibly.
The comments said 5 spaces.
Okay.
So the post reads, brace yourself. Summer is coming. I would argue that summer is already here. This is an RV parked across 5 spots. It seems near the IGA.
Yeah, that's
where
right
it says
behind
no RV
Unlimited.
parking.
Yeah, yeah. There's literally right in the bottom corner of the picture, no RV, no camper parking right here.
So yesterday, I'm going down to the golf course, right? I take my bike, I take the pedestrian bridge, the one that's closest to the YMCA.
Yeah.
And as I'm pedaling on the downslope of the bridge, there's a Mercedes-Benz with its turn signal on, trying to turn
Onto the pedestrian bridge?
onto that path. And he's like waving me, like, oh, you go first, and then I'll go. And as I'm biking past his car, I go, that's not a road, sir. And then I turn around, I look back, and it's a Mercedes-Benz rental. And I'm just like, first day of the golf course open. We got parking posts back. We got insane drivers. Summer's here.
Summer's here. It's
Yeah.
official. Yeah, downtown was packed today. It was just stupid. I love it. It's back. Let's go, baby.
It's back. It's back. So that's all we have for you today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bunny, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say before we tune out here?
No, and let's everyone get out and vote.
Absolutely.
There's no reason a plebiscite should have more votes than a
Yeah.
municipal election.
100%. So instead of getting ourselves into a position we once were with the ped zone,
Right.
let's get the right people that we want in the seats that we need them to move forward in a responsible manner,
Right.
as we think we should.
Election is also expected to be Monday, October 20th, 2025.
Yes.
So that could change. We don't know for sure yet, but that's the expected date. So
There
far.
is a website there. Do you have the website, Matt? So all the information that we've pulled has been from the Town of Banff website.
Oh, it didn't copy the link for me.
Let me just check it real quick
was.
because I did want to give people that information. It is banff.ca/900/election.
There you
Now,
go.
this has all the information you need from voters. If you're a candidate and you want to learn how to get your hat into the race, all that information is there for you. So yeah, go check it out. don't take our word for it. Get your own name in the hat.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you're upset with what we've said today, or maybe we've got it wrong, my door's always open. You can always contact me
sure.
at Overheard Pod Banff on Instagram. While you're at it, go give Bunny's business a follow at melissas.mistake, is it? I had it written down here.
No, I don't even do that one.
You don't do that?
No.
Yeah, at melissas.mistake. So
There you go.
Let's go.
that's their Instagram. All their drink deals, events, all that stuff's on there. Give us a follow. Give them a follow. Drop into the DMs if you have an
Got
issue.
the big Spice Girl concert coming up.
Spice Girls.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Get your
go.
retro on.
Let's go. I'm into that.
When's that coming up? You got the
I
date?
don't
or-
know. Go on the website. It's on the website under events.
Go check the Instagram.
It's a good night.
There's always
yeah,
something
the Spice
good.
Girls
It's a
There's
good
always
night.
something good going on.
It's
yeah.
a good night.
Oh, God.
So
Right on. So again, thanks again to all our listeners for tuning in. Thanks for Bunny taking the time to sit down with us.
Thanks for
Always
having
a
me.
pleasure. Big thanks to Drink Shaft for keeping us caffeinated and fueled up during this episode as always. And like every week, see
you next Tuesday.
Peace.